Hello everyone. My name is Pritam Paul and welcome to my YouTube channel. So here, this is another video where I have my friend Prachi Mathur. She recently cracked Flipkart. So as an SDE role, obviously. So that's why I have invited her on my channel to discuss about her experiences. How did he switch from her previous company, which is CIENA, and at her entire journey, we will discuss about all these things in this video. So if you want to know, then please do watch this video till end, and if you are new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon so that every video could be reached to you through notification. Okay, so without wasting our time, I guess I should introduce her. So yeah, Prachi, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, so I'm Prachi Mathur. I am a grad from NIT Silchar 2019 batch. For the past 2 years, I was working with CIENA, and recently I have switched to Flipkart. That's all about me.
Yeah. So as you guys have heard that she recently cracked Flipkart. So Flipkart is not a small thing. Okay, when you are applying for other SDs also, Flipkart is a big deal. Obviously, it's not that much easy, and that's why I think that you guys should know about her entire journey, her entire background profile, that from which background she has applied, because it's really very important now. So that's why we are going to discuss that first, and after that we will talk about her interview experience and how did she prepare for Flipkart or other companies, mainly for switching purpose. How did she prepare? Okay. So Prachi, please tell us about your thing, that from where are you from, and the college life and all.
So I'm primarily based out of Noida. I've been here for almost 25 years, and I went to NIT Silchar for my BTech. So I was initially a part of EC, then I switched my branch to CSC from second year. So I'm a CSC grad, and my college life has been pretty studious. I have been very studious since my college life, and I was totally into subjects, not really into competitive programming per se. Though I did a lot of data structures and stuff, but still not into really of coding and stuff. So people who are not of that, they can also crack these companies. That was my motive of mentioning this part.
Okay, so as you are from CS background, you are a CS grad, so please tell us about your CS journey, that exactly what are the things you have focused on, as you have told me that you always wanted to be a corporate guy. So obviously I think that kind of fascination was from college. So please tell us about that exactly what are the things you have focused on especially, and obviously please mention your GPA also.
Okay, so I'll tell my GPA first. My GPA was after final year was 8.83. And I was till second year almost, I was reading through data structures, more of theoretically, data structures and algorithm. I think we had a subject, so it was more of a theory. I was not into really hands-on coding and stuff, though I did some training of Java in the second year, but I was more into this just theory data structures wise. From third year onwards, I started, since we had to take internships and stuff, so I started doing some hands-on data structures as well. My prime focus subjects were, of course, data structure algorithm is one. The other was operating system, because that is one of the subjects that is commonly asked. It was a bit of networking also. I did computer networks, went through it reasonably, because that was one of the MCQ subjects, and also DBMS. So MySQL is commonly asked in campuses. So that was DBMS was something which I primarily focused on. So these three subjects were of my prime importance to me, and I used to revise them a lot apart from doing data structures.
Okay, so now please tell us about your the first company, CIENA. Exactly what are the things you have learned, or how you have grown up from a freshie to like a developer. So please tell us about that.
So initially, like I already mentioned, that I am primarily, my prime language that I code in is Java. So since third year and fourth year, we did some data structures and algorithms and practiced on the platforms like LeetCode and Geeks for Geeks and all those things. So I could manage to do it during the third and the fourth year intensively because of the placement drives. And then CIENA was not a campus placement. It was an off-campus placement. So that was the one of the good product-based company
So
that I have
you
got.
haven't gone to the on-campus placement?
I did. I got 2 companies in on-campus. One was Amdocs, the other one was Cognizant. So these 2 were the companies. But one of them had a low package and the other one was a services based. So mine was a reasonable package with a product based company.
Okay, that's
so
obvious
I
that you
tried,
will join that one.
Yes. So I tried off campus after returning from college. So there was a 2 months gap before the joining of the company. So in those 2 months, I was extensively applying and I got a call from a couple companies and CIENA was one of them. So yeah, they also similar round data structures rounds were there, and I was preparing. It is a networking company, so I had to go through the computer network subject as such. But since I was into subjects, so that was like something I was very confident on. And yeah, that was about it.
So by the way, let me ask you one thing, 2 things actually. As you are saying that you are a Java guy, okay. So is it the first language you have gone through, or C or C++ like that means basic competitive coding, or C, C++, oops? So all these things you have gone through, or directly Java?
No, an NIT Silchar course was like they taught us C in the first year. So C was something we were all taught, and we had a lab in that. And so C is like the beginning. And I already had prior experience from school, and I was a UI person that time. So I used to code in HTML and scripting and stuff. So I did some of that in class from class 9th to 12th. So I had already an inclination towards like coding and stuff. So I had some experience. So C was not that difficult for me. But I kind of was aware that C is not an object-oriented language, and we have to know those concepts, and we have to at least know one object-oriented language for sure. So I had a choice between C++ and Java, and most of the people in my campus were into C++. So I didn't want to be too mainstream, so I picked up Java. That was like just a random, okay, I'll just go for this because everybody's doing that. So I went for Java instead.
So, okay. Yeah. So Prachi, let me ask you one thing more, that exactly what are the roles you have in that company, which is CIENA, and exactly what the CTC was, and what are the things exactly, so the raw thing you have learned, gone through, or learned newly, or have scaled it up. So all the things, yeah.
So like I mentioned initially, I was I joined as a Java profile as a backend developer. And then for 6 to 8 months, I was working in Java itself. And there were like, so I'm not sure many of the freshers understand this, but there is CIENA has a microservice level architecture. So I was working in the network management system of that. And it is like a microservice level architecture. So we had different microservices, and one of them was in Java. So I was working in Java, and then based on my team requirement, I was asked to move to the front end. So since I was totally new and 6 months is not too much of an experience in coding, so I decided, okay, fine, since I know nothing about backend, nothing about front end, better be whatever I get exposed of. So I decided to learn a bit of front end also. So for 1 year, I worked in JavaScript and Ember.js. So these were the 2 things I learned. And I learned a considerable amount of
it was like Angular or React. What is the tool?
No Angular, no React. It was Ember. So Ember is another framework.
I got it.
So yeah. So that one was being used in CIENA, and I learned that from scratch. I had absolutely no idea about UI. So that was like a complete from the coding portion to the framework learning. Everything was from the scratch. So that took me like almost a year to do so. And I maintained my hands-on on backend as well during that time. So I was working in the backend microservice along with this to keep in touch, because after doing so much of front end, you most probably will lose hang of backend. So I didn't want to do that. So I was in touch with Java all the time. And that is how things were there. So basically from a backend developer, a full stack profile was made for me in CIENA. And of course, initially when we are a fresher, we really don't, I feel as a fresher, people don't really understand coding at all. they just know what the data structures are, but coding is much more than just knowing data structures.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's just the
so
ABCD
people,
which we actually learn in
yes,
college, and when you are in a
exactly.
means real time server programming or database mein jab kaam karna, that is completely different.
So there are lakhs of lines of code, big repos. I was literally shocked seeing the lines of code that were already written. I didn't even know how to debug it. Honestly, when you see lakhs of lines of code, you don't understand how should I, trace what is happening. I was absolutely new, but people there were really helpful. So I learned from scratch, literally started from how to debug such a big program to writing lakhs of lines of code at the end when I left. So that was the progression that you mentioned. I should talk about it. That was how it went. And as far as CTC is concerned, for a fresher, CIENA can offer anywhere between 9 to 12 as fixed. Your CTC would be around 2 lakhs more. So I was offered 10.5 2 years ago. They have increased the pay scales. I'm not sure how much is it now, but 12, yeah. So 10.5 at my time, and my CTC came out to be around 13.5. So that was a thing. CIENA, this is like what you're going to get inclusive of bonus, but all other facilities like your transport, your food, your wellness reimbursements, everything was apart from this. So 13.5 is what you're going to get. Like get means
that's really nice.
Obviously, yes. So if you amount that to your CTC, the transport and everything that mostly companies cut these days, food and stuff and everything, that amounts, they give it benefits of around 1.5 lakhs. So your whole everything becomes around close to 14.5 times for a fresher.
So let's jump to the thing that when you have decided that enough is enough, now I will be a backend developer and a full-time backend developer, no front end, nothing like that. So when did that time came? Yeah.
So CIENA per se is a telecom org, and the telecom organizations are more focused into the domain than really into the coding part. So for them, domain is at a higher level than actually coding hands-on. And CIENA's code base, I would say, was not too much into data structures. We did use them, but if you consider advanced data structures, it was not there. You won't have trie, you won't have excessive graphs, you won't have excessive tree usage, and you won't have all these kind of things. So basic data structures are all, of course, there, but you won't have advanced data structures at all. So that was something I felt missing. Plus, once I moved to front end, they found me a very good resource there, and they were not easily letting me off to backend, full-time backend. Of course, I was doing backend, and they said, okay, we'll get some resources and then you can move. But I kind of felt that once you do such kind of a thing in a company, they generally hold you with that itself. So that was something I was not preferring after a certain point, and I was like forcing them to push me to backend permanently. And that was the second reason. The third was, of course, the package, because when I look at people who were working of the same level, like 2.5 years or 2 years of experience, they were earning approximately much more, 5-7 lakhs, 10 lakh rupees more than I was. And I kind of wanted to do that. Plus, COVID was a great opportunity because I was working from home and I had loads of time. In the evening. I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to travel. So there was loads of time. So I kind of felt that this is the right time and I have to just push and get through it. So that was the thing.
Okay. So tell us about your preparation journey. Okay. So when did you start, and up to how many months you have prepared, and how did you prepare the step-by-step roadmap? At least all the things we can't put in a single video. Obviously, the audience should understand that. But exactly the roadmap, if you could say, then obviously it will be a plus point. Okay. So please tell us about the roadmap. That exactly how did you have done all the things?
Sure. When I decided in around November 15th in 2020 last year, and in 20 I took 15 days for planning. So I maintained a diary and I wrote down the topics that I have to do, which included so I started preparing for equivalent to Flipkart companies, and most of them have the same interview patterns. So they have the same requirements as well. So I took up a diary. I picked up the topics that I have to do, which had, of course, the data structures, arrays, stacks, queues, linked lists, trees, graphs, and advanced data structures if time permits. So that was it. And I had put some LLD questions to be practiced, because low-level design is one of the first rounds in Flipkart and equivalent companies, or if not first, at least one of the rounds. So that was the one thing I put. And the third thing I had put is HLD, the high level design, because that is required for 2+ years of experience. So that is something I put. Then the fourth thing I put was the revision of all my CV, everything, the Java, the language that I know, and basic level of operating systems, multi-threading, all these things that are theoretically asked at our level of experience, but not really practically need to be implemented. So these are the 5-6 things that I put in my diary when I started preparing. The second thing I did was it took me 1 week, surprisingly, to update my CV. So I did not update my CV after college, and it took me 1 week to do that. So I made an extensive CV. I can, share a template of it. It is unlike what people see on the web usually. I put an extensive amount of projects. I also have done research papers. So I have 3 research papers and 1 journal. So there are the 4 things that I have done during my college time. And I mentioned all those extensively: my internship project, my company profile, and everything. That was extensively put. So my CV, people usually say 1 page. My CV was around 2.5 pages. So that is how big. And I have certain scholarships also. So everything took like almost 2.5 pages. And I couldn't compress it anymore. So that was that. After that, on the 1st of December, that day, I actually decided to start coding. So from 1st December, I decided, it took me 6 months because I was working also. So I couldn't devote like 24 hours to coding. So I had like 3-4 hours in the day. On the weekends, I used to spend around 7-8 hours. So it was like that. And from the 1st December to 1st June was the target. Like 6 months, I have to finish each and everything that I had planned. So this is how my planning was. Initially, I began with the easiest of questions, and I was only doing LeetCode and Geeks for Geeks, nothing else. I did not follow any other platform, no HackerRank, no HackerRed, only these 2. So LeetCode was one of the key contributors, to be honest, more than Geeks for Geeks, I'd say. So that was something.
This is not a sponsored video of LeetCode, okay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying the question collection was great. So that was something I did. And then I used to, after every 2-3 days, I used to check in my diary, like how much have I progressed. So my target was doing around 300 LeetCodes, and Geeks for Geeks around 100-150. So that was the target I had thought about, because I looked through the videos and the coverage of the Geeks for Geeks. Topic wise, at least you need to do 2 to 3 of each type. So it amounted to around, and dynamic programming is more extensive. So you need around 50-60 questions of that. So it was like coverage of 450 to 500 questions. And that was how I planned. And after 2-3 days, I used to check, like, what's my speed. Every day I had a target of 4 questions. So 2 from GFG, 2 from LeetCode. So that was my target. So every day I used to do 4 questions without leaving a single day. I don't think I have left even a single day in between, except when I got COVID. So that was the only 10 days I did not do coding. But apart from that, I was extensively doing it.
I guess the audience, or mainly the students, should understand that the consistency, and obviously, एक दिन में सब कुछ नहीं हो जाता. Just little things, but consistent रहना बहुत जरूरी होता है, I guess.
Yeah. In coding, I'll since the audience is like varied, I'll say जो भी trying for Flipkart or equivalent organizations, if you start coding, you should not leave it for a single day, because अगर आपने छोड़ा, you will be back to square one. Like 10 days during COVID, what I left, after 10 days, the 10 days ago thing, I don't remember.
If the flow will break now, then it will never come back. You will have to invest a lot of time more.
Right. You would have to invest equivalent amount of time like the number of days you left. So 10 days you leave, it will take 10 days to get back to it with the same level. So that is the very important thing. And even today, I don't stop coding. right now also I have one tab open of LeetCode, one tab open of Geek for Geek. That because I don't want to lose that thing I had garnered in 6 months. So I don't want to lose it. It's very precious. It takes a lot of time. So
जूनियर्स को
even
बता
though
दो,
I am
दीदी
not
शायद कुछ और बड़ा प्लान कर रही है, ठीक है, इसलिए कोडिंग नहीं छोड़ रही.
उसका तो नहीं पता
Flipkart
है,
is just
लेकिन
the beginning, by the
definitely
way.
I don't know about that, but definitely I don't want to leave that precious effort that I have done. That's very important to me. So I think that is very important for coders also. जो भी try कर रहे हैं, you need not leave it for a single day. It's like brushing, bathing, all these regular things that we do. That has to be that much consistent.
Okay, so now let's jump to the interview experience. So what are the rounds and how did you grab that opportunity? So tell us about the platforms also which you have searched, okay, for the job, and about the Flipkart interview rounds. Exactly up to what are the rounds were there? Okay, yeah, please.
So I'll talk about the how I applied first, and I'll talk about the interview rounds. So first, I began exploring on LeetCode. So LinkedIn. My bad, LinkedIn. So LinkedIn was one of the places everybody explores initially, and Flipkart was not the only org. In fact, I did not apply for Flipkart, to be honest, but there were a number of orgs I tried for, and I was extensively applying on LinkedIn to whichever fresher or 2 years. Even for freshers, you can apply to up to 2 years of experience profiles. It doesn't matter that it has to be a fresher profile. You can try for up to 2 years of experience on LinkedIn. It is considered. So that is something, since I'm involved in a lot of hiring drives now, so I know that we do look at those CVs. The second thing I did was apply on the company portals extensively. So I applied for a lot of fintechs. I applied for a lot of product-based orgs. E-commerce is definitely one of them. So yes, those were the ones which I applied for. The third thing I did was a friend's recommendation, because when I applied through these portals for almost 15-20 days, 1 month, I did not get any calls.
Yeah, the referral
So I was
is very
very
much important when you're applying for off
yes,
campus.
and I actually didn't take any referral for any of the interviews I cracked. So that was no referral, not at all. I did not contact any person on LinkedIn. I tried a couple of times to contact the HRs, but none of them gave me a response. So I was like ego hurt, and I stopped doing that. But it's okay. People do try for it, and I suggest do try for it, because I'm a little egoistic in certain senses, so I won't recommend that. But yes, you can try for referrals. I didn't take any referral, and I went on to, from a friend's recommendation, I went on to make a Naukri.com and a Insta Hire profile. So those two were the profiles I made, and I wasn't hoping for any calls from there, but fortunately, I got a lot of the calls from there itself. So there were a lot of people who contacted me from there. Of course, there were people who contacted me from their websites. One of them is Microsoft. So please do, if you are trying for such, do apply on Microsoft website. You would surely get a call. So I got twice size calls from Microsoft, and that was one. Flipkart HRs contacted me on their own. So I don't know from which platform they saw my profile, but one of them probably. So yeah, that was how I applied.
And how the interview rounds?
Interview process. Okay. So usually for the freshers, there is an OA round, online assessment round, but for certain experience, I was hired for just for your information, I was hired for Women in Tech Drive. So they hire specifically for the maintaining the diversity and inclusion. They hire do special drives for women in tech. So all the people who are girls who like to code, they can apply in these drives. So it is really, really good. It is really beneficial also. So that is something just mentioning. And Flipkart is hiring a lot these days. So the hiring drives happen very frequently. In fact, I was interviewing one of the hiring drives this Saturday itself. So I was one of the interview panels there. So anyway, so they do hire a lot. And that was, so when they do these hiring drives off campus, the first round is the machine coding round. They call it as low level design round. So basically they give you a extensive app design. For example, in my interview, they gave a COVID vaccination thing. So it was like you have to design the COVID app, the complete COVID app. You don't have to do a front end. You don't have to do a database. Not that, you have to use an in-memory data structure. So that was a complete extensive
That
design.
means
You can
the
look
raw
through.
logic they are asking for actually.
Not exactly. They're trying to check your low-level design, basically OOPS concepts. So
Okay.
they want to understand like how is your OOPS concept? Can you write the complete functional class level code for that particular app and implement it? They are very particular in a runnable code. If your code is not runnable, irrespective of how many years of experience you have, you will not be selected. So that is like and that is an elimination round. So that is like you have to practice. There are a couple of resources on GitHub, and people have talked about a lot of questions that come and how to talk about it. I think we can't do so much of extensive talk here, but I'll tell you the links. You can post it on the chat so that the people can have a look at it. And that was about the first round. So after you clear that round, for SD1s, there is one PSDS round, the problem solving and data structures round. So that is one of the rounds. And in that, usually that is a 45 minutes to 50 minutes round. They don't take it more than that. If you are unable to do it in 50 minutes, they'll just shut the interview. So that's it. They won't give you more time. And it is one easy lead code and one medium lead code for the SD1s. For the SD2s, it is two medium lead code or three medium lead codes or one medium lead code and one hard. So it is like that. And that is the round. You also have to write a pseudo code. So for all the questions, a pseudo code is mandatory. And of course, then you have to code along with it. So maybe the interview, if the time permits, the interview will ask you to code all or just one of them. So that is the interviewer's choice. So that is how the second PSDS round is. For SD2s and plus, there would be a high level design round as well. So you should understand, and even for MTechs, those who have done masters, they also have to give the high level design round. So that is primarily, they'll give you an app design kind of WhatsApp or Book My Show or something
Basically, the
similar.
system design thing you should know for SD2.
Yes, the system design. Yes. So you should know that for masters and for SD2 both. SD2 and plus. So that would be the third round. And last round would be the hiring manager round. So that is just the simple HR round, the
Basic
cultural fitment
HR
kind of
and
round.
all.
Yes, yes.
And
So it would be
negotiation on
extensive
everything
on.
will be coming up.
I don't think they negotiate in that. The HRs negotiate afterwards, but
Okay.
HM is taken by your hiring manager, and that would also be a technical round. So they would go through your CV extensively. So end to end, your CV, your projects, your previous experience, and everything in detail would be there. And if interview is interested, he might just ask puzzles also. So my interviewer was like that, and I had almost done my everything in 40 minutes, all the CV questions, everything. So we had like 5-10 minutes left. So he started asking me puzzles. So they might go through puzzles. That's an optional thing, but it might be just out of interest of the HM. So yeah. And
one thing I want to ask you actually, means they haven't asked you like that from a front end role you are coming into a back end role. Basically, you have done 1 year in front end, right? So that is in your resume. So if they will go through your entire resume extensively, obviously they will ask you like that. So how did you manage that situation, and how did you show that you are a pre-backend developer also in your colleges or something like that? So how did you manage? Please tell us about that. I think that should be known to all, I guess.
Yeah. So I was like, so I had obviously coded in Java itself. So my previous two rounds that happened, one in Java, and of course HLD does not have coding. So leaving that, but I had two other rounds. So they were both in Java, and I had done some projects also in backend. So I had an image processing project in college, and that was extensively in Java. I had also a small feature kind of thing from my previous org in Java itself. Also, that was something they did ask, but I said I am open. So HM rounds are usually they don't want a very stern answer. Like, okay, no, I would do front end, I would do just back end. No, they don't want to listen to that. So I moderately replied that I am open to work in all areas, but I would prefer to work in backend more, since I gave all my interviews in Java purposely because I wanted to get exposure to now more backend domains, since I have been extensively working in front end for an year. So backend is something I would like to do more. So most of the organizations like Flipkart would be willing to give you the work of your choice. They never force you to work in places where you don't want to, because that is like losing an employee for them. So they are very, very considerate, and they would ask you what you want to work for. So when you get inside, when you get an offer, after that, you can, talk to your manager about it, and they would probably be considering you. So that was how I managed to crack that question.
Okay. So thank you so much for sharing such extensive interview experiences and all the things. Very informative, obviously. I hope the juniors or the students or the aspirants who are really working hard to get into those roles will be benefited by the video, I guess. So thank you so much once again. And guys, if you really like this video, so please hit the like button, obviously, and definitely do subscribe, guys. Most of you guys do not subscribe just to watch the video. This is not done, man. I really feel motivated when you subscribe or comment or like. So please do all these things and share this video with your friends who are really preparing for all these things. Yeah. So this much for today, and see you on the next video.